What's up, Tanner J-Man Show Nation? This is Tanner Lee, one half of the Tanner J-Man Show, and on behalf of myself and my co-host Josh the J-Man Munt, we appreciate you listening to our podcast. If you're a new listener to our podcast, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts at. If that happens to be on Apple Podcasts, please give us a rating and review, as that helps us out a bunch. Watch our podcast live every Monday night from 6:30 to 7:30 Eastern Standard Time on the ISC Sports Network. And make sure to give us a like on Facebook and a follow on Twitter and Instagram at Tan and J-Man Show. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy some hot takes, topics, picks, and more on a brand new episode of the Tan and J-Man Show. Hey, it's Monday night. You're listening to another brand new episode of the Tan and J-Man Show, episode 285 to be exact, streaming live on the ISC Sports Network and, of course, their Twitter and Twitch channel, and also the Tan and J-Man Show Facebook page. What's going on, J-Man? Gotta love technical difficulties tonight.
Yeah, both of us having a little bit of technical difficulties here. It's the 21st century, and we're still struggling with it.
It's a new month. The technology's like, we're just gonna throw them a curveball. Just start May off.
Yeah, about once a month it seems like that happens to us.
I should know better. My computer's old. It's a hunk of junk, and I didn't get down here until about 15 minutes prior. I know I need to do it at least 30 minutes prior to make sure everything's good to go. So that's on me. Yours sounds like it's maybe some connection issues.
Yeah.
So it happens, but we're here. We're ready to rock and roll. Episode 285. Got a lot to talk about. Got the NFL draft to recap, NBA playoffs going on, baseball's heating up, of course. Now we're getting into May, so a lot to discuss.
Yes, sir. Speaking of the NBA playoffs, I have a Birdie Bogey question here for you.
Oh, boy.
NBA related, as you might be able to guess. Giannis Antetokounmpo posted his 28th career playoff game with 20 or more points in the paint, which passed Tim Duncan for third most over the last 25 years. Who are the two players who have more games with 20 or more points in the paint in the playoffs?
In the last 25 years.
The last 25 years, so since 97 or so. It would be 97. So, Birdie Bogey is brought to you by Noble Gnome LLC for fresh, locally grown, nutrient-dense produce from Bryce and Katie Romine of Mentone, Indiana. Like them on Facebook, follow them on Instagram, and check out their website, noblegnomellc.com. Get your veggies. It is May. In May, seems like veggie season to me.
Farmers market be going on here.
Yeah.
Very shortly, so we'll have more news to discuss regarding Noble Gnome and where they'll be at. I'm sure they'll be posting here on their social media channels on Instagram and Facebook here in the next couple weeks.
Yes, sir.
What are we starting with tonight, J-Man?
You want to start with some NFL draft?
Let's do it. Let's rip the Band-Aid right off now and let the Tan and J-Man Show Nation know I let everybody down. I hope they did not follow my mocks to heart. Guess how many picks I got right this year, J-Man?
I think you did you get one or two?
One for 32 this year.
One?
Not so hot. Garrett Wilson, 10th to the Jets.
Mm.
The only one I got.
Yeah, you'll never have a year like 2020.
No, 2020 started off hot.
What was it? The first 8 or so, right?
Yeah.
Did it hit double digits?
I ended up getting 11 overall correct. It was either first 8 or 9 in a row I got. I beat a lot of the national analysts that year. Last year was pretty average. I think I got like 5 or 6 maybe. Yeah, 1 this year. Bad.
Which I think 5 or 6 is about what Kuiper usually gets too. Like he doesn't blow it out of the water. I mean, you have guys or teams like the Patriots take a guy at 30th overall, an offensive lineman, where Sean McVay, he was caught on camera saying, "Man, we were scouting him thinking we could get him at 104," and the Patriots took him 30th overall. So that kind of stuff happens. 1 out of 32 is not good, but
not good at all. It's
room for improvement next year.
I didn't even get the number 1 overall pick. I mean, I thought the Walker talk was kind of smoke and mirrors, and I was wrong.
Yeah. You said it last week that was one of the first years where you can remember where no one knows who was going to be number one
Josh
overall.
Froze on his end, so
That's great.
it looks like he's spinning here. See if he comes back. You back? We got you.
I'm here.
All right.
I've been here the whole time. I don't know if you could hear me or not, but
no, you froze right when you were giving your thoughts, so I didn't catch any of it. Maybe that was on my end, but
thanks Xfinity for this fine internet you have provided here in Illinois. But what I was saying was, you said last week that it was like the first year you can remember where we just didn't know who was going to be number one overall.
Yeah, and we got a comment here on Facebook. Thad Mooney said, "Peaked your draft picks in 2020, all downhill from there." Not wrong.
It's true.
It's not wrong. So it's yeah, and I knew I had Derek Stingley going 9th to the Seahawks. When he went 3rd to the Texans, I was like, there's a curveball, and it was just a domino effect after that. I was missing by one position over and over and over again. So
yeah.
But
it was the first year that I haven't really been into the NFL draft as much as others, because my team, the Miami Dolphins, only had 4 overall picks, and they didn't pick 102. So I didn't watch nearly as much or follow it as much until Friday night late when the Dolphins were about on the clock. But who do you think had a fantastic draft?
I thought the Jets had a fantastic draft, to be honest. I thought the Buffalo Bills also had a really good draft. I know you hate hearing that. I thought Kansas City had a good draft, and I hate saying that. But the Jets usually are a team who don't draft very well. I thought this year they did just that. Now, will it field into results on the field? I don't know. But I thought they did get a really good job. I thought there was a lot of teams that did a good job this year.
Yeah, I mean, the Jets had 3 first-round picks, which help. But they took Sauce Gardner, and they took
best name in the draft
by far. Yeah, and I told a little bit about how he got his nickname last week. And then I think they picked 10th overall. Then they took Wilson from Ohio State.
Yep, that was the only one I got right. Garrett Wilson. Yep.
Garrett Wilson, that's it. And then they took Jermaine Johnson, 26th overall, where some people were having Jermaine Johnson picked in that top 8 or 9, and he falls all the way to 26. So you got like 3 top 10 talents there in the first round. 2 of them on defense, and then you give Zach Wilson a weapon and Garrett Wilson. I thought they did really well, and it's kind of weird to hear the media talk about how well the Jets did, because it's usually about how terrible they did in the draft.
Right. And like I said, I thought the Bills did well with having a late first round pick. Chiefs did well. They tackled a lot of issues on defense, including my guy George Karlaftis, who went 30th. Thank goodness he went then, because I think I fell asleep the next pick. I'm pretty sure, even though it was towards the end of the first round.
You couldn't make it all the way to 32.
I don't think I did. Maybe I did, but I was listening to it, and I wasn't watching. I know night 2 I watched most of the second and third round, and all I wanted to do was stay up to see if David Bell got drafted. I had it on. I fell asleep about 2 picks prior, woke up 3 picks after he was selected, and didn't even know until I saw my So, yeah.
Where did he end up going?
Cleveland, 99th to Cleveland, which third round was about where I thought he was going to go with all the chatter in the last month. Some had him going 4th or 5th round. So 15 wide receivers taken before him.
That's crazy. Hey,
it's a crazy wide receiver class this year.
Oh, it was a great wide receiver class. 6 of them went in the top 20, I believe.
Yep.
As far as David Bell goes, Cleveland's, I believe, losing Jarvis Landry. They're very similar. David Bell's bigger, but as far as like hands go, David Bell has good hands, good route runner. He's physical, not going to blow you away with speed.
But that's what hurt him really was his 40 time.
Which I think Jarvis Landry, if I'm not mistaken, ran a 4.79 40 at the combine, which is slow for a receiver. But sometimes you just take that way too seriously, where is the guy a good football player? Can he run routes? Does he have good hands? Is he physical? Because we've seen so many guys that are taken later because they don't run well, and then turn into really good NFL receivers. And I think David Bell's going to be one.
Yeah, I hope you're right. I hope all of those teams that passed on him regret it eventually. I mean, we'll see, though. He is going to Cleveland. I hope he does well, but I'm not a Deshaun Watson fan. No. So, but I was surprised to see 3 Purdue guys get drafted, to be honest. Xander Horvath going in the 7th round surprised me. I thought he'd be an undrafted free agent. I know he did really well at Purdue's Pro Day, which that probably helped him get drafted. But I figured, he missed 5 games, I believe it was, with a broken leg this past year. I was like, that's not going to help his case.
No.
But good for him. I mean, he came to Purdue as a walk-on, and now he at least gets a shot at the NFL. So,
yeah.
But of course, he had to go to the Chargers. Of course, George had to go to the Chiefs. I'm like, man, all these Purdue guys going to the AFC West, but I'm happy for all of them nonetheless.
At least you can kind of be okay with David Bell going to the Browns.
Exactly. I think I text our good friend Jeff Ryan because we were talking about, of course, George went to the Chiefs. And as the dominoes are falling, I'm like, he's going to go to Kansas City. I just know it. I said, hopefully George rips it up 15 games out of the year, excluding the 2 times they played Denver, and Kansas City loses every game. That's all I'm hoping for.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I'd be
as long as he does well, you don't care if his team wins or loses.
No, absolutely. So,
was he Purdue's first round pick since Kerrigan?
Yes, it's been since 2011. Yep,
11 years, huh?
It's been a long time since they had 3 guys drafted in the draft. So,
they had that long streak of having at least one guy drafted. When did that end?
It was during the Hazel era. I don't remember which year. It was one of those years during the Hazel era. Yeah. Yeah, they had it was a long one, though, dating back to the mid-'90s. And Xander Horvath was the first Purdue running back drafted since 1998. A guy named Edwin Watson went in the 7th round for the Packers. I don't even know if he made the team.
Yeah, Mostert went undrafted, which he's turned into a good NFL running back.
Right, right. But they used him 2 years at Purdue as a wide receiver. So they didn't even under hope. So
Akeem Hunt got some time in the NFL.
Yeah, he was undrafted.
He was undrafted, obviously. Yeah.
Horn Sheets was undrafted.
When did Mike Allstott? Was he like 95-ish?
Yeah, I think 94, 95, right around there. So it's been a while. I mean, and he was more of a fullback in the NFL. So it's Purdue's not a really a running back school besides Leroy Keys and Otis Armstrong and a couple others back in the day. But now they're even wide receiver wise, they're not known to produce NFL wide receivers.
Yeah, now you have 2 guys drafted or one guy drafted each of the last 2 years, back-to-back years, and Rondell Moore and David
which maybe we'll get into in a little bit. Rondell might have a big opportunity ahead of him.
Yeah, big
himself now in Arizona with the DeAndre Hopkins news coming out today.
They did just maybe that's why they traded for Hollywood Brown.
I think that's exactly why.
It's got to be a determining factor in that.
I think that's exactly why.
Yeah.
So, but what do you think of the Dolphins draft?
I mean, they only had 4 picks, and it's hard to evaluate when you're picking 102, and that's your first. But I think they got a starter at linebacker in Channing Tindall out of Georgia. The fastest linebacker in the draft class ran, I think, a 4.41. Didn't do a whole lot his first 3 years, but then he played a bunch and was a starter on one of the maybe greatest college defenses ever at Georgia last year. So I think he will really push Landon Roberts for one of the middle linebacker spots. And then in the 4th round, took a wide receiver who has a really good shot to make the team. Seems like a Mike McDaniel. Is that the guy's name? I can't remember the Dolphins coach's name.
Yeah.
It seems like his type of receiver who he also, I think he had like 14 carries last year. So it could be like a Deebo Samuel light or something like that, where you can hand the ball off to him, throw it to him, kind of a jack of all trades. And then their 7th round picks as I throw my phone across the room. I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah, I heard it. I figured your dog did something.
Nope, that was me. They took I think they took a linebacker and then a quarterback. Kansas State's quarterback. I can't even remember. Is it Casey Thompson? I think his name is. Cannot remember his name.
It's Thompson, but I think Casey Thompson was Texas quarterback that transferred to Nebraska. Is it Skylar Thompson?
Yes. Yeah, it is Skylar Thompson.
Yeah.
I was so non-invested in the NFL draft this year. I can't even remember who the Dolphins took. But having only four draft picks, I thought they did as good as they could do. Next year they have quite a few more. They have, I think, 5 in the top 100 or something like that. So it'll be a different year.
Yeah, the Broncos didn't pick till day 2. I thought they did well with what they got what they needed to get. Lake Manitou, stud linebacker from Oklahoma that fell in the second round. I was happy with that pick. And then they got a tight end from UCLA who actually was a walk-on to begin his career too at UCLA. And he's more of a vertical passing threat, kind of like Noah Fant was coming out of college. So he can slide right in there. And the other positions were just some needs at defensive back. I know they got a couple corners. They got some O linemen. I mean, nothing. They got 2 Wisconsin guys on day 3 of the draft, so nothing huge. But
you can't go wrong with taking Wisconsin players.
No, and of course their new quarterback was loving that. So. And they re-signed Melvin Gordon to 1-year deal, so they're loaded with Wisconsin guys all of a sudden.
Loaded Wisconsin guys.
But I was fine with it.
Need Monty Ball to come back, and then
thanks.
The whole thing.
You know, I meant to discuss this with you last week. I wanted to talk about some of the big draft busts both of our teams have taken, and of course Paxton Lynch is the big one for me, but Monty Ball's right behind him.
Yeah, he was a second round pick, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had obviously an unbelievable college career. Didn't do a whole lot in the NFL.
And then he got in trouble off the field, and that was the end of his career.
Yeah. So. The biggest draft bust for the Dolphins, Deion Jordan.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw a list that had him as the 9th biggest draft bust of all time. so that kind of tells you Jeff Ireland traded up from number 12 to number 3 to get him. They needed a left tackle, and they took him over like Lane Johnson, who went to the Eagles and has had a really good career with the Eagles. And Deion Jordan, I think, had 3.5 career sacks or something over a couple years, and he got busted for drugs. And then he somehow still kind of hanging around. I think he was just playing like last year or 2 years ago. But
wasn't he on Seattle?
Yeah. He was with Seattle. But yeah, he was a bad player. He was bad.
Yeah, I thought the Colts had a pretty good draft.
Yeah.
Bears, I thought they had a pretty good draft.
A lot of Bears fans are mad at the Bears draft. I mean, they went defense their first 2 picks. They didn't have a first round pick.
Right.
But you look at their wide receiver room and it is terrible.
Yeah, it's true.
It is awful. And that's why Bears fans were mad. You want to build around Justin Fields, if you don't do anything for him. You don't go out in free agency and get any sort of pass catcher. Allen Robinson's gone. I think he signed with the Rams. Is that where Allen Robinson is?
Yeah, that sounds right.
And then they don't draft one. So I mean they drafted one in the 3rd round, but he will be a 25-year-old rookie. So he's a little older. So at least on my timeline, the Bears fans were not happy, but I thought
you see more than I do. So
I thought they took 2 really good defensive backs there with their first 2 picks.
That's kind of the problem, I guess, with Chicago. They're kind of built like Seattle has been for the last 10 plus years. They're paying all their top guys on defense, and then they don't give their quarterbacks anything to work with.
And especially in a league where it's more about offense than it is defense now. It's completely, we've had a seismic shift here the past 10 years to, okay, it's an offensive heavy league. You need to score as many points as possible and hope your defense can get a stop or 2.
Right.
As evident by that Chiefs-Bills playoff game.
Right.
And so the Bears are kind of trying to buck that a little bit, and it's not going very well for them.
But interesting draft this year. I mean, it was headlined by Georgia all over the place. Georgia, and more Georgia.
Georgia had 15 picks in the 2022 NFL draft, which is tied for the 3rd most by any school all time. Only Texas, who had 17 in 1984, and Notre Dame, who had 16 in 1946, had more.
Now you flash forward to 38 years later, and Texas had 0 this year.
0 after having 3 straight top 8 recruiting classes.
Yeah.
And they've had nobody drafted.
But they're back.
Yeah. That's pathetic.
They're going to SEC.
Yeah. Couple other, going to the SEC to get absolutely smoked. I can't believe they think they can actually hang.
I know.
The SEC. They have this level of arrogance that makes zero sense. Looking at their history the past decade or so,
right?
Thinking they can go there and compete. I think Oklahoma can go in and compete right away.
I do too.
Texas, I think they're just going to be a middle of the pack SEC school.
Yeah.
Some more NFL draft notes here. Ohio State wide receivers Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave went back-to-back at picks 10 and 11. It is the second straight year wide receivers from the same school have gone in the first 11 picks. Wow. It had never happened before. The two last year were Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith. Sauce Gardner was the first Cincinnati player drafted in the first round since 1971.
I'm surprised they had one ever, to be honest.
Yeah, Bob Bell. He was a defensive tackle in 1971. They've been pretty dang good, though, the past 20 years. They have, but yet I couldn't name you a really, really good pro that went to Cincinnati off the top of my head. Travis Kelce.
Oh, yep. See, there's one.
Jason Kelce, his brother. Those are the only two, though, that I can think of.
I'm sure there's more that we're forgetting.
I'm sure, yeah.
But how about the quarterbacks, Josh? I had 4 quarterbacks mocked in the first round. And not only does only one go in the first round, that's Kenny Pickett from Pittsburgh, staying in Pittsburgh, which is a pretty cool storyline. But we don't see any go in the second round. Then we see 3 of them go off the board in the third round.
Yeah. I think we were talking last week, but I know a lot of people had Malik Willis going in like the top 4.
Yeah, he was mocked a lot of places, number 6 to Carolina. Yeah. And I saw his percentage to get to the third round was less than 1%.
Yeah.
Less than 1%.
I think it just shows you how weak of a quarterback class it was. Obviously, it shows you that. And I think teams are wanting to invest more into next year's quarterback class.
I think you're right.
Because it's supposedly much better, that they didn't want to risk taking a guy in the top 3 rounds or so.
Because I mean, teams kept coming up like Saints or Seattle, for instance, over and over again. I'm like, all right, here's where one goes, and they kept taking like offensive linemen. I'm like, all right, they're rolling with Drew Lock this year.
Yeah, which maybe they're wanting to tank this year a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know.
As far as Pittsburgh goes, I wonder if Kenny Pickett would have been the choice for Pittsburgh had he gone to any other college. I wonder if him playing in Pittsburgh made any sort of it shouldn't have any sort of bearing on whether he's picked there. But I wonder if that played a role a little bit.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think Mitch Trubisky will be their day one starter, but we'll see what Pickett can do. I mean, it helped though last year. He had the best, or according to the award selectors, he had the best wide receiver in the country on his team. So
who is in the transfer portal actually?
Yeah, sounds like USC.
Don't
get me started. Not this week.
Yeah, we've talked, or we know Trubisky enough to know that Kenny Pickett will probably be their starter by week 6. So unless he goes out and plays well, who knows? Maybe a change of scenery will do old Mitch good. But having Willis fall to the third round. Who was the second quarterback taken? Was it
Ritter?
Corral? Oh, what was it? Desmond Ritter to Atlanta, correct?
Ritter was was Ritter before Malik?
Ritter was before Willis because Willis went
then to
Willis. Tennessee.
Yeah, because Ritter went to Atlanta and then
I thought Tennessee was really smart to draft a quarterback because Tannehill's not it. And they made a huge day of move trading A.J. Brown to the Eagles for a first-round pick. Nobody saw that coming.
And he gets paid at what, $100 million?
$100 million. Tennessee didn't want to pay him that. So who is Tannehill going to throw the ball to? He's just going to hand it off 40 times a game. But
right.
Yeah.
Where did Corral go to again?
He went, I don't remember.
It's escaping me. It was a team that made sense. Was it Carolina?
Yes. Yep, went to Carolina.
Yeah, because I mean,
third round pick.
So maybe who's Atlanta's starter right now?
Who is their starter?
Because they got rid of Matt Ryan to the Colts. Yep. I mean, I'm just blanking today. This is hot start here in May, but because that's why I was thinking Ritter might he's definitely the best position.
I completely forgot Marcus Mariota. I forgot they signed him. Yeah,
if I'm Ritter, I'm licking my chops. So
yeah, he might be able to win it outright.
I forgot about Mariota. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. North Carolina's quarterback,
Sam Howell.
Thank you. His name was escaping me. He was a projected top.
I had him going first round.
Did you?
32 to Detroit. Yeah.
He was a projected top 5 pick coming into the year, and he never got overly better since his freshman year. The New England Patriots surprised and took a quarterback in the 3rd round, Bailey Zapp from Western Kentucky,
Hilltopper,
who broke like every NCAA passing record last year, yards, touchdowns. I think he broke all of Joe Burrow's records. But took him in the 3rd round. So I don't know if they took him just to be a backup. It's kind of weird to take a quarterback that early in a sense to be a backup. Maybe they don't believe in old Mac.
Well, did you see who was Mr. Irrelevant?
It was the quarterback.
Yeah, Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy from Iowa State, who was
he was first team All Big 12 2 years ago.
He was a potential 1st round pick coming into the season, and he just didn't have a good year. Yeah, it was the first Mr. Irrelevant quarterback since the Broncos took Chad Kelly.
Chad.
Yeah, the felon, the felon Chad Kelly.
Oh man. Wow, that guy was something else.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, interesting draft. I'll be more locked in next year and ready to rock, even though the Broncos don't have a 1st round pick next year either. So
yeah, I'll be definitely more locked into the draft, and I'm already excited for it. Hopefully the Dolphins aren't picking till 32.
You can hope. You'd be a happy man.
Hey, maybe. I mean, they got. I don't remember whose 1st round pick they have next year. I think they have San Francisco's 1st round pick. So maybe they'll win the Super Bowl, and the Dolphins will be all pick 32 anyway.
Maybe. Yeah. They should be a playoff team. So
should be.
Big NFL news today: DeAndre Hopkins suspended 6 games for NFL performance-enhancing drugs. I believe.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
6 games. Yeah, I don't know why these guys still try to kind of cheat the system a little bit.
I mean, they know what they can and can't take.
And it could be something super innocent too.
Could be.
Where he's like, where he legitimately had no idea that was in there, and it could just be a banned substance. But you got to do your research too, and be smart about it. And now trading for Hollywood Brown, that they had to have known. There's no way they would have traded for Hollywood Brown had they not have known.
I agree.
Something was going on. So
I agree. So I mean, they won't get hit as hard as other teams would, I guess. Mm-hmm. Their wide receiver room,
some pretty good depth.
But he's still a pretty solid wide receiver you're losing there. So
yeah, and it's a huge year for Arizona too, and Kyler Murray entering his last year of his deal. Cliff Kingsbury, who knows if they want to keep him around.
Yep.
So it's a big year because they've kind of underachieved here the past 2 years. They limped into the playoffs last year. Didn't even make it the year before. But yeah, they need a big year, and then you're missing one of the best receivers in the NFL for the first 6 games. It's going to hurt.
Yeah, it's not going to help. That's for sure. But like I said earlier, hopefully Rondale Moore gets some more playing time and some more balls thrown his way, and he can produce from that. So
yeah,
we will see. We'll see. But any more thoughts around the NFL or the NFL draft?
Not that I can think of.
I don't think I have any either. So, you want to get into baseball? Before we do that, I got my word association.
Perfect.
That is baseball related. Do you want to hop right into that?
Yeah, let's do word association first.
It's kind of a long one, so I'm going to fly through these. I was going to just select a few, but I'm going to do the whole list. So, Clayton Kershaw over the weekend became the Dodgers franchise leader in strikeout. So I went and looked up every single strikeout leader in franchise history for all the teams. We'll go through them real quick. Some guys I've heard a lot of these. Some I have never heard of. So starting in, let's start with NL West. Let's start with Kershaw, Clayton Kershaw, Dodgers.
Greatest pitcher of this generation. Max Scherzer has a case, but it's Kershaw.
Yep.
I'm lucky enough to say I got to see him pitch once, and I actually might get to see him pitch again because I'm going to the Cubs-Dodgers game Saturday, and he might be in line to start that one. But greatest lefty by far of this generation.
Another good lefty here, Arizona, Randy Johnson.
Big unit. World famous photographer.
San Francisco, Christy Mathewson.
Mathewson?
Yep.
Arguably the greatest pitcher of all time. Now it's hard to say because he pitched so long ago, back in the early 1900s, but he was a good one.
San Diego Padres, Jake Peavy.
Jake Peavy, he was a bulldog, man. He was one of the elite guys in the mid to late 2000s. He was a good one.
Colorado Rockies, Jorge De La Rosa.
Who? Jorge?
Yeah, I couldn't believe he was their second leader, to be honest.
They haven't been around that long, I guess.
No, they haven't. I don't know who I was thinking. I was thinking like
maybe
Justin
Ubaldo
Jennings or Ubaldo. Yeah.
Jorge De La Rosa, huh? That's interesting. Former Cub great. He pitched out of their bullpen in, I think, 17 or 18, one of the years.
We'll go to the NL Central, Milwaukee Brewers. Giovanni Gallardo. Yep, thank you. Can't even read my writing.
He was good. I will never forget him blowing out his ACL at Wrigley Field. He had a fantastic rookie year. Then his second year, he blew out his knee. Really good hitting pitcher, too. He did a few homers a year.
St. Louis, Bob Gibson.
Bob Gibson, he's the reason why they lowered the mound, because he was putting up ERAs about 1 ERA each year. And they're like, I think it's time to lower the mound.
I should have been following Facebook closer. I see Travis Watching left us a comment if we knew much about the Cincinnati wide receiver that the Colts drafted.
Alec Pierce?
I can tell you he's from Glen Ellen, Illinois. I can tell you that much.
That's not far from where I live. That's where your uncle lives.
Yep.
Aunt and uncle.
Because they were hoping he'd be a Bear.
No.
So, yeah, but no, I think he's just a very solid wide receiver.
Yeah. Big, too.
A little
6'3"?
Yeah, I was going to say Austin Collie was a lot shorter, but he could fit into the Colts like Austin Collie did. Chicago Cubs, of course, Fergie Jenkins.
Fergie, Cy Young, Hall of Famer. Did he win a Cy Young? I don't know if he won a Cy Young. Hall of Famer, though, still around and still comes to Wrigley quite a bit.
Pittsburgh Pirates, Bob Friend.
You got a friend in me. He was a good one. I think your loyal listener of the show, Sean Shriver, I'm sure could answer this one better. But I think he was one of their best pitchers in their heyday back in the 70s, if I'm not mistaken.
And the Cincinnati Reds, Jim Maloney.
Nope, Bob Friend pitched in the 50s and 60s. What's wrong? Say that again?
Jim Maloney for the Cincinnati Reds.
Don't know a thing about him.
He's probably better than anything they got right now.
Probably. They're 3-19, so.
Wrapping up the NL East, Atlanta Braves, John Smoltz.
Smoltzy, he was a rare guy who was a Hall of Fame caliber starter and a Hall of Fame caliber closer.
Right.
Good golfer, too.
Yeah, he is.
Better pitcher.
The Miami Marlins, Ricky Nolasco. Yep.
Cubs traded him with Dontrell Willis to the Marlins for, I don't even remember who they got for him, but it was a really bad trade the Cubs made. And he was a mediocre pitcher, but Marlins, again, like the Rockies, haven't been around that long.
New York Mets, Tom Seaver.
Tom Seaver, he was a good one, obviously. One of the elite, greatest pitchers of all time.
Washington Nationals, Steven Strasburg.
Haven't heard him in a while. He's been hurt a bunch. I'm sure he's still around there, but he's been hurt. I wouldn't call him a draft bust, but couldn't stay healthy enough.
I was just going to ask you what. Yeah, because he was so hyped out of San Diego State. Holy cow!
As hyped of a college and minor leaguer as we've had.
Yeah.
Him and Bryce Harper, and they were around the same time too.
Yep.
But just couldn't stay healthy enough to really take it to the next level.
Philadelphia Phillies, Steve Carlton.
Lefty. Good one.
Going to the AL. Let's start with the West. For the Angels, Nolan Ryan.
Nolan Ryan's with the Angels. I wonder if he's there with the Rangers too.
He is. No, he's with the Astros. The Astros and the Angels, both in the same. So we'll knock those both out at the same time.
Angels. The one lasting memory I have of Nolan Ryan is him beating the crap out of Robin Ventura, putting him into a headlock and just pounding his skull at 40-something years old too. Robin learned that was a bad idea.
Yeah. Yep. There's so many statistical categories he's the leader in. The guy was unbelievable.
No one will ever touch it either.
No.
The no hitters, the strikeouts, no one will even touch him.
Oakland Athletics, Eddie Plank.
Don't say I've never heard of him.
Me neither. Seattle Mariners, Felix Hernandez.
King Felix. He won Cy Youngs on some really bad teams.
Yeah.
I remember him throwing that perfect game.
Mm-hmm. The last one we've seen.
He'll be an interesting Hall of Fame case. I don't think he'll make it just because he was a Seattle Mariner, but his peak years were as good as anyone's.
I agree. And the Texas Rangers, Charlie Huff. Hough.
Yep.
Huff.
Charlie Huff. I believe he was a knuckleballer, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong there. And he pitched till he was 46, 48 years old. I remember I had a baseball card of him from like the 90s or something. And I remember showing my dad and this guy was born in 1948 and he was still pitching in 1995 or something like that. It's almost 50 years old.
It's like an old Tim Wakefield.
Yeah.
AL Central with the Cleveland. I'm just going to call him Cleveland because I can't get used to the Guardians. Bob Feller.
Obviously elite level pitcher. Yeah, really good one.
Kansas City Royals, Kevin Appier.
Really? That's surprising.
Appier.
Yeah. If Greinke would have stayed there his whole career, he'd be it. But Kevin Appier, I'm surprised. He was he was with the Royals when we were growing up. I remember him pretty vividly. But it's surprising.
Detroit Tigers, Mickey Lolich.
Hall of Famer. No, obviously I never watched him, but yeah.
I wonder, he probably wasn't close. I was going to say Verlander. Wonder how many he had with Detroit.
I bet he was close.
Yeah.
I bet he was pretty close. Minnesota
Twins, Walter Johnson.
Another one of the greatest ever. He was kind of the same era as Christy Mathewson. He's kind of who you think of when you say greatest pitcher ever. Him, Cy Young, Christy Mathewson.
Chicago White Sox, Billy Pierce.
Billy Pierce, huh? I can honestly say I've never heard that name before.
He had to be an old one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then wrapping up the divisions, the AL East, the Toronto Blue Jays, Steve? Yeah.
He nasty slider. Nasty slider. He was on those 92, 93 teams. Yeah, he was a guy, he obviously had a fastball, but he was a guy that threw his slider almost exclusively, if I remember correctly.
Baltimore Orioles, Jim Palmer.
I think he's still calling games, unless he's dead. I assume he's still alive. But yeah, he was still calling games for the Orioles as of just a few years ago, and he's still alive. He's 76 years old. I think he's still calling games for him.
I saw on my Twitter today, I follow Jimmy's Seafood in Baltimore, and they have nicknamed, and maybe it's a nickname out in Baltimore, and I don't follow the Orioles. The baby birds are all this young core. That's what they're calling this young core the Orioles have.
Young core that's not yet in the big leagues, huh? Adley Rutschman and Grayson Rodriguez, I think, are the two.
Yeah, they're calling them baby birds.
Birds. Huh.
Interesting. Tampa Bay Rays, James Shields.
Big game James. Good pitcher with the Rays and the Royals. The White Sox famously traded Fernando Tatis Jr. for him. The corpse of James Shields, as I like to call it. He was who was pitching when Chris Bryant made his major league debut. And I think he struck out Bryant his first 3 plate appearances.
Boston Red Sox, the Rocket, Roger Clemens.
Steroid guy. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame because he put up some numbers. Amazing pitcher.
And last, New York Yankees, Andy Pettitte.
Pettit is, huh? Another one of those guys that Hall of very good, but probably not a Hall of Famer.
Steroid guy too, even though he came out right away and admitted to it before. Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of them didn't, I guess.
Jorge Posada and Pettit are kind of the same in the sense that really good players on some really good teams, but not Hall of Fame level.
Bernie Williams too.
Absolutely. Bernie Williams is kind of the same
all those guys. Even though I would put those two that you mentioned above Bernie, but
I would probably put Bernie above both of them. Actually,
okay, never mind.
Which is kind of interesting, but
the core four.
That was fun. That was a fun list.
Yeah, I was surprised by a lot of those names. A lot of them I hadn't heard of. So, so that's the word association segment, which is brought to you by Proforma Promo. Let's start this over. Proformo Print to Promo Group. If you need a trustworthy, dependable resource for your next trade show, company picnic, or sales meeting, they have over 50 years combined experience in promotional products and commercial print. They strive for a fast and efficient response to all of your print needs. You need to look no further. Let them be your one source print and promotional company today by giving Barbara Van Weinsberg a call at 574-210-3815. All right.
Go around
the MLB.
Here. The New York Yankees have the best record in baseball.
9-game win streak. Hot.
Yeah. 16-6. The other team with the best record in baseball, which is a half game behind the Yankees, are over there in Queens. The New York Mets are 16-7.
I think they somehow hacked into my phone in our Rochester group message and saw that I said they stink. Everybody knows they stink except the front office, and they've got hot ever since.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think they've lost since.
Anthony Rizzo, bombs, man.
Yeah, he was leading baseball in homers. Good for him. I'm glad he's still having success because I think a lot of people thought he was washed.
And with his contract, he bet on himself. Year. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
Good for him.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, Mets are 16-7. Toronto is right behind the Yankees at 15-8. Good team, obviously. The NL West, Dodgers and Padres are tied there atop. Giants half game out. Rockies have started to fold a little bit, but
they swept the Reds.
Playing 3-19. 3-19. They have played 22 games, and they are 11.5 games out of first place already.
To this point in May, they're the worst team I've seen in my lifetime.
I'm trying to think. I know the Tigers in 03 won 43 games. The Diamondbacks in 04, 05, I think, won 51 games. I struggle to see the Reds winning 40 more. They are atrocious.
I mean, they're going to have like 1,000 fans soon at their games.
Yeah.
Tickets are going to be so cheap. So cheap.
You can get in for a 5-cent piece.
I mean, it's going to be unbelievable. But where are they going to go?
3-19. There was a year where I think it was 1997. The Cubs started the year 0-14. I don't remember it. Luckily,
and here's their mindset. Good friend and sponsor of the show, Travis Watry. It was earlier when I listed off the strikeout leader for the Cincinnati Reds in their franchise history. He said probably a loser like their current team. So that's the mindset of the fans right now.
I have some Reds stats here. The Reds offense has a 63 OPS plus. So OPS plus, it takes into effect like ballpark factors, all of this. You have your on base, you have your slugging percentage, all of these coming in. The major league average is 100. So 100 is average. Their OPS plus is 37% below league average. Their ERA plus, which is the same thing except for pitching, major league average is 100. They're 27% below league average. So they have a 73 ERA plus, a 63 OPS plus. This is from Jeremy Frank. We're at the point where where the Reds innings pitched and plate appearance totals are about equal to a full season of one individual player. Their total team has 774 plate appearances. They've only hit 15 homers. They have a 201 collective batting average, a 271 collective on base percentage, a 311 collective slugging percentage. Their pitching has thrown 186 innings, and they have a 6.15 ERA. Both of these players, if they were individual players, would have gotten DFA'd in June. And that's their entire team. Pathetic.
When I look at a guy like Joey Votto, he's got to get traded, doesn't he?
Well, you look at Votto's stats this year. His contract's almost untradeable.
Okay.
He's 9 for 74. He's hitting 122. He only has one extra base hit. He's striking out 40% of his time. He's not walking as much as he has. You look at the rest of their roster, and it's just terrible. Now, their best, in my opinion, their best player now, Jonathan India, is on the injured list right now and has been for a little while. He's not going to make up, 40 games. Their pitching's terrible. I said it in our preview show that their bullpen on paper was the worst I've ever seen. And it has proven to be pretty horrendous. But yeah, Reds are bad. Cubs are also bad though, so I shouldn't say anything. But
the Reds are making headlines on Barstool Sports for fans wanting
to. Yeah, do it. Do something bad in a truck.
Yeah, just go look for yourself. I can't even say it with a straight face. So.
Yeah. 3-19. That is horrendous. Cubs, on the other hand, are also pretty bad. They've lost I think 9 of their last 12 or 9 of their last 13. So they're sitting here at 9-13. They've hit a little bit of a lull. Guys that played pretty well last year, like Frank Schwindel, is bad. Their trade, where they trade for Nick Madrigal from the White Sox for Craig Kimbrell, he's hitting 210 so far. A few guys have had good starts of the year. Ian Happ's been fantastic. Seiya Suzuki slowed down a little bit, but he's still producing. Nico Horner's been okay. Patrick Wisdom's had some moments, but overall, the Cubs are a pretty horrendous baseball team, and I think here in the next month or so, we'll be thinking of the guys the Cubs could trade at the trade deadline.
Yeah, you're probably right. That'll probably be a hot topic of discussion on the show.
Yeah, so it's been pretty rough. Their farm system, though, is pretty good, and so I've been kind of following that. It's kind of back to
those days again, huh?
Yep, 2012 through 2014, where I'm looking at the minor league box scores more than I am actually watching.
Well, that's a Reds fan's life there.
Yeah, it's been that way for the Reds, definitely. I mean, they're sitting here 3-19. I just can't get over that. They won 2 of their first 4. So that means
where are they going to go? Where are they going?
They've lost 17 of their last 18 games.
Should that be a Tan and J-Man show shirt? Where are they going to go?
Where are they going to go?
I like it.
Let's see what the Reds' schedule is this week. See if they can maybe win a few games here. So starting, nope, they're not winning any during the week. They're at Milwaukee the next 3, so those are losses. Then they have a 4-game set at home against the Pirates, so they may be able to win one of those. But yeah, I think they actually, you know what, this will be the J-Man's bucket prediction of the week. I think the Reds go, let's see here. How many games they play? They play 7 games? No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
3 and 4 is 7.
Yes, 7 games. It threw me off. They have a doubleheader on Saturday, so that's what threw me off. So I think the Reds go 1-6 this week, and next week when we're doing this show, they will be sitting there at 4-25. Oh, they are garbage. Somehow their odds to make the postseason are higher than the Cubs right now by a full percent.
How?
Their playoff odds 1.4% to make the postseason. The Cubs are at 0.4. I just saw. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, their odds to make the postseason are 0. They're going to have to play like 900 ball the rest of the way just to even get in the discussion.
Yeah, no way. So at least the Bengals are good for the city, I guess. We're last year. We'll see if they can repeat it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. College teams there. Cincinnati football had a pretty dang good year.
That's true too.
Basketball team not so much. Xavier kind of choked at the end of the year.
Yeah, Sean Miller's back.
But, Sean Miller's there, and I'm sure he's rejuvenated him a little bit. The Marlins had won 7 straight games as well, but they lost yesterday. So kind of a surprise team there. They're 12-9. Pitching really well. Can't hit a lick. But Cubs, this is a little change of subject, but Cubs White Sox this week. I'm kind of all over the place here. Cubs White Sox this week, starting tomorrow for 2 games in Wrigley Field. Both teams 9-13. So, hotly contested matchup.
Who's the J-Man's Booker Prediction of the Week brought to you by J-Man?
The Booker Prediction of the Week is brought to you by Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Travis Watchering for life, home, auto, business, renters, workers' comp, and farm insurance. Contact Travis at 219-869-4561. His email is travis.watchering@infb.com. This episode is brought to you by The Dan Landing. Whether you want an epic burger, hand-tossed pizza, hand-breaded tenderloin, seafood, craft beer, or a handcrafted cocktail, The Dan Landing is the place to be. Dan Landing is a bar and grill located on beautiful Lake Manitou, focused on freshness and quality. You can wash down their delicious food with one of their 16 beers on tap, including a constant rotation of today's best microbrews and domestic flavors, or a handcrafted cocktail made using fresh ingredients. Take in the fantastic views of Lake Manitou and their beer garden or outdoor bar area. Whether it be boats or wheels, The Dan Landing is the place to be, located 1305 Ewing Road in Rochester. Do you want to get educated?
Always. I need to get smarter.
On this day in 1920, the first game of National Negro Baseball League was played in Indianapolis.
Really?
Yeah.
The Monarchs, wasn't that their name?
I know there was a Kansas City Monarchs.
Oh, yeah, that wouldn't be right then. Yeah,
I don't. It didn't say the matchup of the team.
Never mind. So never mind.
Speaking of Walter Johnson, on this day in 1923, he pitched his 100th career shutout.
Wow.
So yeah, he was pretty good. Yeah. On this day in 1939, New York Yankee Lou Gehrig ended his 2,130 consecutive game streak.
Yeah, that's incredible. Just incredible.
On this day in, it's not on this day. This is not an on this day, but in 1941, MLB player Ted Williams had his lowest career batting average in a year where he only hit 3-0. Oh, no. Hold on. His batting average dropped to 308 on this day in 1941, which was the lowest it got that year when he hit 407.
That's ridiculous.
That's what it is. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. On this day in 1958, the Yankees threatened to broadcast games nationwide if the National League goes ahead with plans to broadcast games into New York City. I don't know what that means. I do not know what that means. Who won the NBA championship on this day in 1968?
68? Let's go with the Celtics.
Yep, the Celtics beat
Lakers?
The LA Lakers.
Yeah, that was just a guess.
Who was the number one overall pick on this day in 1978 in the NFL?
NFL 78?
I believe this guy's a Hall of Fame running back.
Ooh. 78. I'm not sure.
Earl Campbell.
Oh, yeah. I think he is a Hall of Famer, but yeah, I wouldn't have got him from Texas.
Yep. 1988 on this day, Reds manager Pete Rose was suspended 30 days for pushing an umpire.
Good old Petey, always in the headlines.
He was a likable guy. Man.
Still is. Likable guy.
Still.
He's
on this day in 1999, John Elway announced his retirement from the NFL.
It was also on this day back in the 80s when he became 83 actually when he became a Bronco.
Why did he wait so long to announce his retirement? May 1st?
Yeah, I don't know. He went back and forth for a little while, but he just couldn't do it physically anymore. So they were really trying to talk him in to try and come back and go for a three-peat. But the Brian Greasy era started after that.
Yeah, did not go that well either.
No.
On this day in 2015, Floyd Mayweather Jr. beat Manny Pacquiao on points in 12 rounds. I do too. In World Welterweight Unification fight, it shattered all financial records for a boxing match.
Should have happened way before it did.
Yep. And that is going to do it for On This Day.
And the On This Day segment is brought to you by Mooney Woodcrafts. Mooney Woodcrafts is a veteran-owned and operated custom woodcraft shop based out of North Carolina with Indiana grassroots. They provide 100% hand-cut custom designs that fit your needs. From signs to grow charts, their custom pieces make a great addition to any home, office, or man cave. To see some of their recently completed projects, visit at Mooney Woodcrafts on Instagram, or you can go to their Facebook page. And for orders, contact them at mooneywoodcrafts@gmail.com. Did you happen to see the one I shared on our Instagram story last week, the Butler Bulldog one?
Yes, that was very
Pretty cool.
Very cool. Pretty cool. I'll give you a birdie bogey here. Giannis Antetokounmpo. My phone is all the way over there, so I'm going to try to do this. Giannis Antetokounmpo passed Tim Duncan for third place over the last 25 years in points in the – or hold on. Okay. Giannis Antetokounmpo has 28 playoff games where he's scored 20 or more points in the paint, which is the third most over the last 25 years. Who are the two players that have more?
25 years. So we're going back in the 90s. So I got to think of somebody who played in the playoffs a lot, who was post-dominant in the paint. I got to think Shaquille O'Neal's one.
He is one of them. So you got at least a par.
Thank gosh. Oh, boy. There's another one, though. Duncan was third.
He's fourth now.
Fourth, yeah. But he played more playoff games than anybody. I don't think this is right, but I'm happy with a par. It's Karl Malone.
Good guess, but no. It is LeBron James.
Well, he wasn't even in my. I wouldn't have guessed him for points in the paint.
The crazy thing is, Giannis is third all time with 28. LeBron has 35 or so. Shaq had 63.
Yeah, he was dominant.
Yeah, he was blowing everyone out. But hey, get a par.
Yeah, we're still tied at 4 over. So it's your chance next week to either
fall back.
Take the lead or fall back. So, or maybe we'll stay the same. But we're planning on talking NBA, but we've kind of ran out of time. So we'll have to table our NBA playoff, which the NBA playoffs have been really good.
Yeah.
And NHL playoffs start this week, as you can see by my attire this week.
They're gonna disappoint you again.
I'm afraid they're going to. They're the 1 seed. They take on the Nashville Predators. Game time tomorrow night's 9:30. That's always fun.
Staying up for that one?
Probably like a period. I can't do it. But I was telling somebody at work today, I mean, they got the team to win it all. They got the talent to win it all. I've said that last few years. But if they don't at least make the Western Conference Finals, then this year it's just a total waste.
The bust.
Because they're one of the better teams the NHL's seen in the last 2 decades. So this year. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yep. Thanks for watching the Tan and J-Man Show live on the ISC Sports Network. We will be back at it next Monday with another episode. Have a fantastic Mother's Day to all those mothers out there on Sunday. We will see you next Monday.